everyone, I hope you're well. If you're new to my channel, my name is Katie and today I'm going to be talking about something that I've never ever spoken about on my YouTube channel before. So I want to talk today about a condition I have which is really common. It's called scoliosis and it basically means a curvature of the spine. I know so many other people with it. I actually had an operation for mine. I had major spinal surgery when I was 12, so I just wanted to talk through kind of my story, how it's affected my life, give you guys some support and advice as well if you think you may have it, and some signs you can look out for to see if you have it too. So this is just going to be a really chatty video. Grab a cup of tea and listen to my story. I'm going to include some pictures here and there of everything so you can see what I'm actually talking about. And yeah, if you have any questions as well, leave me a comment down below. So there are two types of scoliosis. One which you can just get over age. A lot of old people have like hunched backs, or in an accident you could knock your spine. I was born with mine. I've got congenital scoliosis. I always joke that it was because my mum got food poisoning when she was pregnant with me and that's why I've got a curved back. I'm not totally sure. I don't know if there's any research been done into why you're born with it, but I was born with mine, although my parents didn't find out until I was 11. So I lived 11 years without knowing that anything was really wrong with me. There were a couple of instances over my life where my parents were like, oh, that doesn't look right, or something had happened. So basically I remember I did ballet and dance from a really young age, and I think I was around 7, and we had to do this exercise in ballet where we had to stand up tall and straighten our backs out, and so we were like a table, so our body was like that, and then our dance teacher would come and put a cup of water on our backs, and it was basically to make sure we were like stretching our back and having it exactly flat, just like a good posture for ballet. And my teacher couldn't put the cup of water on my back because I had a bump, and she was like, oh, I'm not entirely sure about that, but we're not going to try it, Katie, because you'll just end up wet. I always thought I did have a straight back, so that was baffling to me. So I'm not entirely sure what led my parents to investigate into my back a bit more, but it was discovered after some x-rays that I had a 32-degree curve in my spine. So at that point I was 11 years old. I was 4'6", and this is the really medical bit. I have no idea what this means, but a scoliosis comes as a result of a hemivertebra at T11 and an extra rib as a result. So I have an extra rib. I'm not entirely sure about this rib because when I breathe in, I might do a cutaway here, but when I breathe in it definitely looks like the whole rib isn't there. I'm not entirely sure. It looks like I've got kind of half a rib missing. Hopefully you'll be able to see in these clips. So after being diagnosed with scoliosis and having x-rays, I went through loads of tests. I remember having loads of MRI scans. I had kidney scans, liver scans, heart scans, but thankfully all of those came back fine. I was absolutely fine apart from my back. So I was booked in around July to have major spinal surgery at the Portland Hospital for Women and Children. This is actually quite cool because around that time Victoria Beckham gave birth to one of her sons, kind of a couple floors above me where I was having my operation. That's quite cool. So 2 hours before I went in for my operation I had another x-ray and it showed that my curve was now at 45 degrees, which was a lot of progress within like a 9-month period. Basically my spine was just curving at a ridiculously fast rate, so it was so thankful that, like, I can't even imagine what I would be like now if I hadn't have had that operation. I would probably still, to be honest, I'd probably be smaller than 4'6" because my spine would have just kept curving. It baffles me to think about how different my life would be now if I hadn't have had this operation. So in my operation I had a synergy instrumentation, which is basically a titanium rod, and that was placed on my spine and held in place by some large bolts, one on the vertebrae above and one on the vertebrae below. So basically one of my vertebrae, they're all supposed to be like rectangle like this. One of mine is like a triangle rather than a rectangle. It was like that, so that was meaning that all my other kind of vertebrae were leaning. You'll be able to see these on the x-rays as well close up. I've also got some pictures of my back before my operation. You can really see that one shoulder is a lot higher than the other, and also my back does have like a slight curve to it. It isn't something that you can see and it be really obvious. It's quite subtle, but these are definitely some signs that you can look out for. But I'll run through more of those at the end of the video. Apparently they used some rib bone, my extra rib, I don't know, they used it as grafting to also hold it all in place. So I've got some bolts and stuff all on my spine to make it a bit more strong and more straight. So once I came out of surgery, which lasted around 4 hours, I had antibiotics, I had a saline drip in my neck, I had a morphine drip in my hand, I had a chest drain, a catheter, pulse and blood pressure monitors, a gastric nasal tube, and oxygen tubes. Like, I was basically covered in wires when I came out. I feel so bad for my parents because they must have been like, imagine seeing your 12-year-old absolutely, yeah, I was 12 by this point, absolutely covered in wires and tubes. It must have been really, really horrible for them, but I was fine. Apparently 2 hours after coming out of my operation, I was back on my Game Boy. I was a proper tomboy. I loved Game Boys. I was playing that. I've actually got a picture of me playing my Game Boy after coming out of the operation. So I think I was in bed for about a week after the operation. I couldn't get out of bed. I had all these things attached to me, and I remember this time really, really clearly. I couldn't turn myself because obviously I couldn't move. So the nurses had to come and turn me over every 2 hours, and I am quite a fidgety person. I don't lay in bed in one position for longer than half an hour, so my mum's noted here that that was really difficult for me because I just wanted to turn and be free and move a lot, but I couldn't. I also had a chest drain. Apparently this caused me a lot of aggravation and I just wanted it out. I have a scar, a little scar on my back, which I think is from the chest drain. It's like probably about this big, as well as 2 other massive scars I have on my back. So I have 3 scars on my back overall. I've got 1 right down the centre of my spine. I have 1 on the rib. I think that must have been when they took the rib graft out. I'm not entirely sure. And I had a chest drain one as well. These scars have faded really well. I'm going to jump forward here. They faded really well. I remember having some like jelly stuff that I had to put on them, which helped the scarring go down a lot, but you can't really see them. It was always funny when I would date like a new person and we'd get to that point in the relationship where I'd take my clothes off and then I'd be like, by the way, like I felt like I had to warn them, by the way, I have quite a few big scars on my back. They were all really nice about it. Like, I never met a boy who would be like, oh, I don't want to date a girl who's got like loads of scars. I actually joked to Andrew the first time we shared a bedroom together. I joked to him that I'd been attacked by a shark while swimming in Australia, and he believed it for probably about 5 seconds, but he loves my scars. Like, they're completely a part of me now. Anyway, back on to that. Whilst I was in the bed after the operation, quite a few days after, I was fitted with a back brace. I remember the men coming and putting the plaster all over me, like having to turn me and put it all over, and it was really uncomfortable. So I had to wear a back brace after my operation for 6 months. I had to wear it for 23 hours a day, so I only got 1 hour off without it a day. It was also summer by this point, so I remember it was so itchy, like my scars were itching like crazy, and I obviously couldn't itch them because I had a back brace on. So I remember me and my sister used to get like straws and just stick them down the back just to itch slightly. That was brilliant. Like, that, I remember that so clearly. I'd be like, Becky, can you get me a straw? I need to itch my back. Yeah, that's just a really big memory that I have of that time. I keep jumping around in this story, sorry, I'm just kind of going where it flows, but I remember the day that I could finally go into my own room in the hospital, and I had to sit up for the first time in like a week after my operation. And I remember this quite vividly. I was sick. This is another video entirely, but if you guys follow me on Twitter or anything, then you'll know that I've got a really big phobia of sick. It's called emetophobia. I'm going to do a whole video on that because it's a whole other story. I've had therapy and CBT for that, so I'd like to share my story of that, but let me know if you'd like to hear that video too. I don't know. So yeah, I think that's quite a normal reaction. If you're laying down for like a week and then you get up, you're going to be quite dizzy, and I do remember being sick after that. Anyway, I remember having to learn how to walk again. I remember being made to carry heavy bags of sugar up and down the stairs just to kind of get my body moving again. I also remember my parents bought me the newest Spyro game that I could play in my room. Unfortunately, I just felt so dizzy, I just couldn't play it, and Spyro was my favourite PlayStation game ever. I was such a tomboy when I was younger, and I remember that being really difficult for me at that time. Like, that was like the biggest worry of my life at that particular point. Not having spinal surgery, but not being able to play my PlayStation game because I was too dizzy. Oh, I also remember I could choose the pattern on my back brace, and I chose the most garish design ever. It was kind of like a pink and white gingham, and it had little bumblebees on it. Wearing a back brace for 6 months was difficult, not only because it was hot in the summer, but because obviously I'd have to wear clothing over it. It was very obvious, it was very bulky. I think my parents still have it somewhere. I'd love to dig it out and show you guys. It was really, really hard. Like, I remember being quite self-conscious about having to wear this bulky back brace on, especially in school. I had a month off of school after my operation and then had to go back to school, and I remember that being quite difficult because I couldn't carry any bags, so I had to have like a wheelie suitcase to carry my school books and my lunchbox in. That was really difficult. Also, I wasn't able to walk up and down the stairs very well, and I had a bunk bed with my sister at the time. We shared a room and we shared a bunk bed. I was in the top bunk and I couldn't get up into it basically, so my dad ended up having to build me a bed downstairs in the living room, so I slept down there for quite a while. I used to love it. I loved having my own room, even if it was a living room that everyone would walk through. So 6 weeks after my operation, I went back for another x-ray, and my curve had gone down to 20 degrees, which was fantastic. I've got x-rays of that, so I'll pop them in here so you can see what that looks like. This is what my spine will look like forever. I also remember having physiotherapy for a while after my operation, and then I started having it again. I think when I was 16, 17, I started having some backaches and had some more physiotherapy after that. I haven't had any since I was like 17, so it's been 10 years now without any kind of checkups or x-rays or anything. I'm not entirely sure how my back's doing. I think she's alright. I just wanted to talk a bit about how it has affected me as an adult, as a teenager, as a woman, etc. One of the absolute hardest things about this for me has been my height. I didn't grow that much after the operation. I'm 4'11" now, so under 5 foot. I am by far the shortest out of all my friends, out of pretty much everyone I know. I'm this tiniest. And I know that everyone says good things come in small packages, but honestly I wish I was a bit taller. I don't want to cry because I'm happy about, like, it makes me different and it makes me who I am today. But I wish I was a bit taller. I wish I was a baller. Yeah, I don't want to get upset. I just wish that I was a bit more of an average height, I guess. I've got a couple of instances where I felt really kind of looked down upon because I'm so little. Obviously none of them know my story and what happened, but I get really paranoid walking in the street holding Andrew's hand. He's like quite a lot taller than me, and I get paranoid that from behind it looks like he's walking his daughter or something because they can't see my face. I also used to do a lot of acting in schools, so I'd go into schools and do some acting for the kids, and a lot of the kids were taller than me. Like year 7s were way taller than me. Even year 5s are massive compared to me. Like, it's really hard not to feel quite intimidated by other people at such a little height. I also get ID'd everywhere I go. I don't wear flat shoes anymore because I used to wear flat shoes a lot, but now I just feel a little bit self-conscious about it. I prefer wearing, that's why I wear boots an awful lot, because they have heels. Yeah, it's been difficult being so little. Also, finding clothes is a pain in the arse. Like, finding jeans that fit without me having, like, I don't own a pair of jeans that I can wear without having to roll the bottoms up a couple of times, but that's fine. I like the rolled up bottom trend. I think that's cool. I'll run with that. In terms of my back and its capabilities now, apparently I am stronger than most. I like to call myself a bionic woman. I know a lot of people who had a rod down their whole entire spine, so they can't like slouch, they don't have much movement over it. but I can slouch, I'm still quite flexible. I've been doing circus arts for a year now, where I do aerial silks, aerial trapeze, and I'm just as flexible as my classmates, if not maybe more flexible than a couple of them. I don't get backaches often, apart from if I'm in a long car journey. If I'm driving for a long amount of time, I'll get really bad backache. For that reason, I have a lot of cushions in my car for when I'm doing long journeys, although they don't really help. I guess one thing that's been bothering me quite a lot at the moment is the fact that my back feels like it needs to click a lot. I don't know if that's just because I am doing circus arts and I'm holding my whole body with my arms, and so my back's getting a good stretch, but I really feel like all the time my back needs to click. It might not even be down to my surgery though, it might be completely unrelated. Obviously swimming as well, bearing my scars, is quite to be honest, I don't even think about that anymore. The scars don't bother me in the slightest. They've become a part of me. I can't see them. I'm so thankful I had the operation. If any of you are in the same situation and are worried about an operation, I would say go for it personally, based on my experience, because I don't know what I would be like if I hadn't have had that. Like it's just incomprehensible to me. It makes me who I am, and I'm happy to share my story with all of you. I want to just say a couple of bits about things you can look out for to see if you've got scoliosis yourself. So as I said earlier, scoliosis is so common. So many people have it without even realizing, so I just wanted to give you a few tips to look out for. One shoulder being higher than the other, one shoulder blade being more prominent, that could be like a different form of scoliosis. One hip being more prominent than the other. If you've got any back pain with nearby muscles feeling quite sore and tender, that could be a sign. And also if your body leans to one side, then that could be a sign as well. There's so much stuff about scoliosis online because it is so common, so if you do want to explore more about it, then be sure to go and give it a Google, but don't give it too much of a Google, because then you can freak yourself out entirely and that's not healthy. If you yourself have scoliosis, or have had the operation, or are about to have the operation and want to chat, please leave me a comment down below. I'm so more than happy to talk to you and answer any questions you have. I was so young at the time of my operation. I think I was quite naive to what was happening. Like, I didn't realise the seriousness of it. The doctors did warn my parents that if it did go wrong, then I could be left paralysed. I could never be able to walk again, but that was a risk they were willing to take. And I remember them asking me about that, and I was just like, yeah, I'll be fine. Like, I was so young, I didn't really understand what was happening. But looking back now, I feel like I'm in a good place to have overcome something like this, and I'm happy to talk and share my experiences with you guys. So yeah, I'm waffling loads. But I hope this has helped some of you. If I have helped in any way, that would make me so happy. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you again soon.